Hi, my name's Sophie and I'm a textile designer. I've been living and working in London since 2008. I graduated from the Glasgow School of Art and I'm currently working as a freelance designer. I'm here to talk about my experience since graduating from art school and what I've learned along the way. And no matter what course you're doing, whether that's design or fine art, you're all going to be starting to think about what you're going to do when you graduate. So it's quite important to think about your options and what you want to get out of your course and how you're going to take that forward. In the summer before my final year, I went to London and I did 2 3-week placements. And they were both with quite small companies. They were both female weave designers who had set up their own businesses. Do quite a lot of hands-on things because they were small companies. Like I'd be setting up the loom, be doing colour swatches, responding to clients. Both of these gave me a real insight into running your own business. Gaining confidence, working with established designers, speaking to their clients, just knowing how to be professional in a design environment. I'd also done an internship while I was travelling in Australia, and it was for InStyle magazine. It was a lot of dealing with PR agents, making sure clothing went to and from shoots. So there was a lot of logistical operations side of a business, but also just being confident enough to speak to people from fashion labels. Each internship and experience I had helped me narrow down what I wanted to do when I left. I still wasn't 100% clear in what my career would look like, but I could rule certain things out. Like I knew I wasn't ready to start my own business, and I knew I wanted to gain more experience in the industry. Living in London for 6 weeks gave me a real taste of what living in London actually means, because I have friends who went down and did other placements for artists or designers. They came out with the opposite opinion and they decided London's not for them. Just because someone is moving to London for a design career or moving somewhere else to start their own studio doesn't mean you have to do the same thing. You know what's right for you. I'm a naturally competitive person, so I would compare myself to other people on my course, particularly in Weave, because it's impossible not to. I do work better with a little bit of competition. As long as you do the best you can and you fully explore your creative ideas, then you'll come out with something amazing and it will lead to something that's right for you. When you graduate, you'll realise how important your creative network and your connections are. Get to know and make connections with as many people on your course as possible, but also in other departments, other courses, because you never know where anyone's going to end up. Someone might end up being creative director of a company or a famous artist, and you just don't know when you might be able to link up and collaborate with them. You never know what might happen. Start building them now and almost create just like a little creative hub. In my art school and my course, we would have regular crits where we'd go through everyone's work, we'd comment, say what we liked, what wasn't working. It's always a bit uncomfortable receiving feedback on your work because it's so personal to you, but it's really important that you listen to other people's opinions, because sometimes when you've been looking at something for so long, you can't see what's working really well and what's not. Whether you have your own clients or customers or you work for an employer, you are going to start gaining regular feedback, and it's going to be from people who are paying you, and suddenly that becomes a lot more important and you have to listen to them. It can be upsetting if it's something you've worked on for a while, but the more feedback you get, whether that's positive or negative, the easier it is to take and the easier it is to work out how to respond to that. The further you get on in your career and the more experience you have, the more confidence you have to put your own ideas across and defend your work or your ideas. And You do get better at that, but at the same time, you do have to remember that it's not just your opinion anymore. You have to work with your client or your customer or your boss. You just toughen up to it. It's an important skill to learn. The more and more it happens to you, the more it just kind of washes over you, and you stop caring so much. So it's good if you work in a studio with other people, or if you work on a design team. If you're a bit annoyed at what's happened that day or some comments you've had on your work, you can vent that with people that understand. It's really important to have those people that you can talk to. Firstly, I would say that you will never have the same amount of creative freedom as you do now. So I would just try and enjoy that. So even if you end up in a studio after graduating, you will still have money at the back of your mind, how you're going to make money out of your art. So now at art school, you can just fully enjoy your work and get as much as you can creatively out of it without that worry at the back of your mind. I would have a look, see what bursaries, scholarships are available. There's usually a few different ones per department. I was lucky enough to be awarded a couple of different ones, and it meant that I had all my yarns and materials paid for in my final year. Just see what's available, because that can take a massive load off your shoulders. Maximise the use of the facilities that are available to you in the whole of the art school. Look outside of your course, see what technology and machinery is available. I experimented with laser cutting on fabrics. You can find opportunities in other departments. The university might have certain subscriptions to websites that once you've graduated might be very expensive. We had a subscription to WGSN, which is a trend forecasting website. Now I know how expensive that actually is. I'm now going to pass you back to your presenter, who's going to go over your first exercise.